Hey guys, so it's been quite a while, and listen, I finally got sick. Yeah, for during the whole pandemic and everything that was going on, and even before, I haven't gotten sick in, uh, from what I can remember, probably 4.5 years. And it's just that 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago now, I started practicing um, cold showers and swimming in the ocean the, during the whole year, and that's up here in the PNW, Pacific Northwest by Seattle. So it's the ocean is very cold even in the summer. Yeah. Those of you who know me, they you know that you've been following all that, and this year, you see, you've seen me. I was plunging in the snow in my swim shorts. Not long ago, I finally went swimming into the ocean again. It was extremely cold. I was there for 15 minutes diving and swimming. But this year I knew it was different. This year, and I'm not surprised. I have to say I'm a little bit surprised that I got sick, a little bit, because still, how would I say that? Something wasn't the same. Something I felt, my being wasn't as fierce, wasn't out there as much. Um, you would call it. A lot of you would call that mental help, mental strength. Mental help to the body. Yeah. So it was. I just was not there. I just wasn't. I was going to work. I was, heating up my room a tiny bit. Because when you're sitting down, not doing anything, it's really hard to, keep your temperature, your body temperature, all the time up. When you have short sleeves and stuff. So I would put a shirt on, like flannel shirt on, and just turn the heat up for 1 or 2 degrees more than usual. Usually it's pretty cold, and I don't like it when the fans are blowing. When it's coming out from the vent right on top of your head. I hate that because it's so isolated. They always ask, "Oh, you're cold." I say, "I'm not cold. It's just I hate cold air blowing right on top of my head. It's not something that is healthy. It's not natural when you're out in nature. You never get stuff blown on top of your head. It's like it doesn't work like that. Your whole body's engaged. But when you're sitting down, not doing much, and you're just having the cold air blowing on top of your head the whole shift, it's not cool. Right? So when I was doing that, I realized that that something in me got a little bit weaker. So now, of course, there's a few factors, why that actually happened, and it happened because of the things that happened in my family this year. It's extremely stressful, and has to do with financials, back with the estate that we have, and certain complications with courts and yada yada yada. It's like nonsense, a typical inheritance nonsense that a lot of people go through, and this is not something that everybody's familiar with, but I would say in a lot of families that's exactly what happens. Of course, again, not a surprise because that's been going on for many years, and now somehow with a certain death, things came to an end and will have to be resolved. Yeah. So with that being pent up for so many years, that was not helping. And then on top of that, I started a new venture. It's been basically pretty hard on me financially because of the pandemic. Because all of my shows, for those of you that don't know, I'm a fine art painter. All of my shows got canceled. So, and for some reason I was able to sell some stuff to a few people, but it's not the same because that was in the very first year, and then it stopped, and everything started stagnating, and without having the possibility of having shows and keeping my work out there, floating around, it's not much. You can't expect much recognition. You can't expect many people to know about these things, and all these social media, presenting stuff on social media, it's not the same. Small tiny images like that on your phone, or even if they're this big, it's not the same as seeing the art in person. So yes, so with that being said, financially I was extremely pressed and stressed, and I started a new venture, which is building my, I would say, sort of like building my business of building bikes. As some of you know, I'm an enthusiast bike enthusiast. I used to race, and now I'm a mountain biker, an enduro biker. So I got sick last time. Sickness was weird. It was not even sure I had any fever. The fever must have been maybe very mild, but I was very fatigued. I was extremely exhausted. I didn't have any body aches, pains. I was simply just I was like a zombie. I could barely stand. I was so sleepy. I could only lay down and sleep. I was completely out. So that was a day, and then the second day, it felt much better, but I was still sleepy after a few hours being up. So I had to sleep again, and then the third day seemed that things were going better. But what happened was, in one of those days, I had an intense pressure in my sinuses in here. Very intense, as if somebody boxed me right into the nose, right on top of my nose. So painful that my eyes started getting puffy. I was like, everything in here was painful. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get enough proper rest, and that was disastrous. And so then that went away. I started doing neti pot. The congestion slowly washed all the crap out for that time, and then I felt better. And then I was offered some work. I went to work. I went to sleep late. My problem here is, you see, that's unfortunate, but that's how I am. I go to sleep late. I have problems keeping in the same sleeping pattern, which is not healthy at all, and I know that, but it's just, that's my nature. I get to do more things nighttime than daytime, and sometimes I would say I stay up just to think about stuff, which sometimes helps, sometimes doesn't. It does help. I come to some conclusions, and but the problem is that then in the morning I gotta get up and go to work or do things, and I'm not rested, of course. So that would work only if I was able to work somewhere in the afternoon, and then then just keep that same pattern instead of having to work early in the morning and then going to work completely exhausted and going through the whole shift like a zombie, coming home, maybe do some more stuff, and so on and so on. So now these are sort of the reasons, the factors why all this stuff came down upon me. Like I said, the new venture of building bikes, it's a tough business. It's actually a very tough business. I thought it would be easier, but it's not. I built a bike. It's a really nice bike, and I'm trying to sell it, but so far not as much interest as I expected. But we'll see. It doesn't matter. I'm still going. There's still certain things that I'm working on, and so it's a lot of pressure because I'm not by myself. I'm married, and you have to do these things. Whatever happens with your financials, it doesn't impact only yourself, and so it's a much bigger duty and responsibility. And those of you who are married or together with somebody or have kids, then you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so it can wear you down. And like I said, I was doing, all the right things. I was taking cold showers, I was plunging in the snow, and it was going well. But gas got very, very expensive here, and so I wasn't able to go swim in the ocean. As basically I wasn't able to go swim in the ocean for months in between. I think it was the last time I was in October, and then or November, and then December, January, February, March, I wasn't swimming at all, which was not good. But it takes about half hour one way to get to the place where I usually go swim. I can't go in Seattle. The water is terrible. It's next to the port, and you don't want to swim there. And yeah, so that's what happened, and that's how I got sick for about 3 days. And like I said, I accepted some work. I went to work, and then my buddy said, "Oh, let's go on the bike." Actually, I went on the bike by myself. I met him that day, and then we went on the bike again together 2 days later. But yeah, I was almost good, almost completely good, and I only had a mild sinus congestion. And I was like, "Oh, great! I can't take this anymore. I'm not gonna lay down. I'm done with this. Like, boom, let's go out on the bike." Went on the bike, did all the go up the mountain, did all my downhill stuff. Felt good, but I was a little bit cold, because the weather up there is really weird. As soon as you hit the shady spots, it's extremely cold. And the weather was not as nice as it looked when I left, So, yeah, I think I got a little bit cold that day. And so then I met my friend. 2 days went by. We went on the bike together. And we exhausted ourselves a lot. And I felt good. I felt no problems. But yes, it was a very exhausting run that we did. And then at the end, we came down. It was pretty cold already. That day was cold. It was sunny only when we were going up, but most of the time, when it started getting really late, I already started, in the woods. It was pretty moist, pretty cold. So by the time we came down, it was much colder. It was also almost nighttime, and I went home. He went home, and next day he was like, "Oh, are you tired?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty sore." He was like, "Oh, I'm almost like I'm dead." He's much older than me, and I was very sore. I was so sore. I had like everything around the lungs, not the lungs, like underneath my chest, my shoulders, my back. But we were doing some special stuff, and we're hopping over some puddles at the end on the fire road towards the cars and stuff like that. So it did a lot of hard work. So I expected it. I was like, "Oh, okay, that kind of feels good. I'm sore. I've done a lot of stuff." Now that soreness slowly turned into fatigue again, and I was like, "Man, what's going on?" And 2 days passed, and then a Monday came, and I went to work, and again I went to sleep late. Totally my mistake again. And I woke up. I felt bad. I felt very like outside myself. I was very, very strange. I felt very strange. So I went to work, and the whole day I was cold. I had to leave a little bit early, but an hour or two, and I came home, and that's when it hit me. I got fever, and I had to lay down, and I was out. Over. Started getting some sinus pressure. After a while, it released, so I was finally able to get some sleep that night, at the end of the day. And then the next day I felt better, but I was very tired, and I still had fever. The fever, I'm not sure. I didn't measure it, so I don't think it was very high. But yeah, and so now this is the 4th or the 5th day. So this time, the second time around, this is the second time came back. It took me about two days. It was pretty bad. Third day it was better. So the 4th and the 5th day. Today is the 5th day. Today I'm almost good. Yesterday I already went for a job interview. But then later on I did not feel good. I was very tired. So this is what happened. So sore throat. Actually, I had a sore throat the first time. Sore throat was there for like a day, maybe a day and a half, and then it just went away. So also in the meantime, all this time I was doing my freezing cold baths. So I would pour cold water in my tub, and then just spill as much ice as I could make in my fridge, and do that for like 10 minutes, laying in. First only with waist down my legs, and then I would um, get up and push my legs up, and then go down in the water up to my neck like this, up to my chin, and stayed in there for another like 5 or 6 minutes to make it all together about 10 to 12 minutes. I was doing that too, and there was only maybe a day or two that I missed in between, but I'm still doing that, and that should be helping. So yes, so you can get sick, and I've always said, when people said like, "Oh, you're gonna get sick," I said I can't, and I wasn't getting sick at the time. But this year I wasn't so sure. This year I wasn't that confident, because I knew that a lot of things impacted me this year, emotionally, and that's what's gonna happen. So, but remember also, when you get sick, this is just a process. Like, I refuse to relax, to truly rest. And this is what nature says: well, if you won't do it, I'll make you do it. So one thing I noticed when I was so sick that I was like, basically like I'm dead in the bed, like on a deathbed, that's all you can think about is nothing. Nothing. Sincerely nothing. And that's the I would say that's the natural reset, you see, because sometimes we need that, because we worry ourselves into the ground, with this and that and those bills, and that credit line, and that loan, and this and that, and apartment and car, and I don't know, whatever expenses you have, or whatever you're buying, or whatever you want, and or other things, or if it's not financial stuff. At the time when you're like that, you can't think of any of that stuff, because none of that stuff matters at the time. None of it. Completely irrelevant. And that's the good thing about being sick. If, of course, if all that there is just that extreme fatigue that I experienced. So my main thing is this congestion in sinuses, which is really, really annoying, because I keep having this pressure in here and around the eyes, and sometimes that makes my eyes very tired. And but as soon as that's done, Oh, also, the second time around, after the biking stuff, I felt something I've never felt before. I felt, this is the second time. The first time I didn't have any body aches and pains, just fatigue, just sleepiness, like just extremely sleepy, and a little bit feverish. This time, the second time, I had a fever, and I felt so achy everywhere. My skin felt as if I was burned. So even a shirt, like if I put a new, dry shirt on my skin, it would feel, every time a shirt would move, it's like I could feel my whole skin would feel as if something is scratching it like this. My fingertips were painful. This was sensitive, very tender. Yeah, that's crazy. Now the second thing, when some people want to jump to conclusions about COVID, guys, listen. This today, look, this today, okay. This is one of the very extremely very, very few days in Seattle with such sky. Watch this. Look at this. Not one chemtrail in sight. Let me tell you something. They are poisoning us, okay? I don't care how that sounds. I don't care how you want to call me names because of that, or put me in a box with certain people or whatever, or label me as something. I do not care. That's the truth. these stuff that you think it's maybe they give you these symptoms and said oh, this is from this virus and this and that. This is not it. It's not it. I've been stressed before, and I've been under a ton of pressure also, and I wouldn't have gotten sick. But I can tell you that I have noticed something for the past, past 2-3 months. I have noticed no normal clear blue sky anymore. None. Zero. Our skies nowadays are completely trashed with a bunch of chemtrails left and right, and we rarely ever have a blue sky, like one single day. Rarely ever. It may start like that, and it soon gets all crapped up by this, stuff they spray up in the sky. And people say, "Oh, it's pollution." No, it's not. It's not pollution. I mean, it is pollution, yeah, but it's an intentional pollution, not the one you think. So, yeah, it's a lot of poison. I'm not the only person. I'm not from the only place. Also, there are places in the world where people have also testified they haven't seen their testimonies. They haven't seen clear blue sky in months. Some, yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. I do not remember any such time, even here in Seattle. Even though people say, "Oh, well, but that's how the weather in Seattle is, and it's rainy and cloudy, and the winter's crap." And yeah, okay, I lived here now for 4 years, and this is the only year that it's been so awful. The only year for me so far. But I have noticed something that ever since the pandemic hit, especially when there was less people outside, we had a lot of planes going back and forth, leaving their stuff behind, and then hours later the whole sky would turn to crap. Okay, nothing new, but this year it is horrible, absolutely horrible. So yeah, call it like you want it, but it's poison, and it's up in the air, and that's what we breathe every freaking day. Yeah. So all these people, all these rich, wealthy people that are behind this stuff, with, of course, working for the military, because the military, people in the military are doing that stuff for the rest. So, they are not breathing the same air, believe me. They're at home with air refresheners. They're possibly even in some other facilities away from this air that they give us. Yeah, there's a lot to come out, guys, and once it does, a lot of you will be very upset, and because you haven't listened to some of us that try to explain and point it out to you for many times, and for many years now, and you ignored us, as we are some hippies and conspiracy loonies and stuff like that, and that's fine. You can make fun of people as much as you want, but you'll see there's going to be a whole lot of different diseases and all sorts of crap that is going to come out of all this stuff, because this is not okay, and this has been happening to us, to all of us, for quite a long time now. Alright, on that note, I'll see you later. Talk to you next time. Alright, some interesting stuff.